Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Sally, if you don't know me.
I'm Jimmy.
This is Our Dinner is Done. Tonight we are making tortellini soup with chicken sausage. It was a kind of gloomy morning, and now it's actually a beautiful day. So is it really soup weather where we are? Not necessarily, but that's okay.
Had to put the air on.
I know, I actually had to put the air conditioning on because it got a little warm today, but that's okay. Regardless, soup is good any time of the year. And it is fall where we are, even if it is a little warm today. But tonight we're going to be using some cheese tortellini that you get at the supermarket. That you can leave it in your refrigerator. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. This is just cheese tortellini, some chicken stock, some chicken sausage, tomato sauce. You can see the ingredients up there on the screen. Pretty simple. And this is going to be like a soup that comes together in like about a half hour to 45 minutes. So.
Yeah, so it's a quick soup.
Easy.
I mean, you could make it. You can make it the day before because it's always going to taste better the following day.
Absolutely.
And you could also, if you were home and it was a nice, cold, chilly Saturday or Sunday, you could make this in the morning and let it simmer all day.
Absolutely.
But it's also a quick soup because that's how we eat. We don't really have time to let things simmer all day.
That's true. And especially now that I'm home with the baby, it's hard for me to get cooking done during the day. So when he gets home from work, we try to whip up a meal that's pretty quick. So that's what this channel is all about. Some of like the easy cooking that we do throughout the week. And we just like to share the recipes with you. So let's get started. If you have any questions for us, let us know. Let us know in the comments if there's a soup that's like your go-to, that's your favorite to make.
All right, so we are going to start with the sausage. It's already pre-cooked, and you can always tell just by looking on the package itself. It'll say fully cooked. When you get the chicken sausages, they're generally going to be pre-cooked.
Yeah.
In this case, we have an artichoke and garlic. Really, any one of the Adels?
Yeah, Adels, I believe. Idels.
Chef Bruce Idel. He's a happy-looking fella. Any of these chicken sausages are delicious.
Good.
So you can really go with whatever flavors you like.
And
we buy what's on sale.
Yeah, we buy what's on sale. Like, so these, they often have like the artichoke and garlic, or like the Gruyere and cheese. The different cheese kinds. If you want to do it vegetarian, just skip the sausage altogether. You could absolutely make this without the meat. Or if you would prefer to have a different type of sausage meat, you could use a different type of sausage.
Yeah, you could use a traditional pork
sausage if you prefer that, or leave them out altogether. This soup is going to be hearty either way because it's going to have like more of a creamier tomato base, and the tortellini is pretty filling on its own. So, and also tonight we're going to be using collard greens, but you could sub in kale, spinach, any type of green that you really like. Green.
We went with the collard greens, just because they look the freshest at the supermarket. But It's a nice, it's a heartier green.
And they're just like really pretty.
Yeah. But they're gonna hold up in a soup. Like you could use spinach. You would just add it at the very end. It's gonna wilt down. But these bigger, leafier greens, they're just thicker, sturdier. I think they hold up really nicely
in the soup.
I think collard greens are such an underrated green overall. I think they're just wonderful.
Yeah, they're going to be super tasty. So like we said, this chicken sausage is already cooked. So we're just going to kind of dice it up into little bite-sized pieces. The chicken sausage, you really can't take the casing off. But if you were going to use a pork sausage, you'd want to remove the casing and kind of just break the sausage up as you're cooking it.
Yeah. You could always buy like loose sausage. You could buy sausage patties.
That's true too.
To avoid that step if you would prefer. It's really just personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just slicing them in half, lengthwise. You can see that these are stuffed. You can see the artichokes and the garlic stuffed right inside there.
It looks like they even have like maybe some tomato or pepper or something like that in there too.
Yeah, definitely. It might actually be a sun-dried tomato.
Oh, it might be sun-dried tomato. Actually, they definitely... Yeah, I don't really prefer those, but that's okay. They actually do have varieties of the sausage that have sun-dried tomatoes in them. So, again, whatever is your preference really can work for this.
Yeah. So, in this case, slice them in half. I could slice them again and cube them to make them extra small.
Mm-hmm.
Preference?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it that way.
So, we're gonna cube them. So we're just going to slice them in half twice. So I've quartered the sausage for you mathematicians out there. That means I've sliced it in half, and I sliced the half in half.
That's a middle school teach it right there.
Yeah, I think that's also like elementary at this point.
Yeah,
You're
that's true.
preschool, so.
Yeah, that's true. I teach preschool, so we're not really doing that kind of stuff. I'm more introducing like them to numbers and that
That there are numbers.
that there are numbers and
That one has a numeral that corresponds with it.
exactly, and talking about how many, those types of things, and basic counting. If you're lucky, up to 20.
20 for the good ones.
Yep. But this is just going to be a really kind of simple soup. The last couple of weeks, we've experimented with some soups. In the past, we haven't
It was
been.
cold the past couple of weeks, so
Yeah.
it's really like forced our hand.
And we hadn't really made a lot of soup in the past. It's not something that we generally make a lot of, but in recent weeks we decided, you know what, this weather's been like calling for it, so
Call for
let's kind of
something
test it out.
hearty, kind of, warming. So
And-
soups and stews just do that.
And I've always been, I haven't always been a fan of soup that are like super liquidy. I don't like them when they're just like thin. If that's,
So
that's a good word for it.
Yeah,
I don't like a thin soup. I like a nice like
You don't
hearty,
like a
thick soup.
thin, brothy space soup.
Yeah.
So like a chicken noodle.
A chicken noodle is okay. It's just not my favorite, so I would prefer something that's a little bit heartier, that has more sustenance to it. Don't get me wrong, a chicken noodle soup is really good if you have a cold and you're not
Oh,
really
yeah.
feeling well. Like nothing really, kind of makes you feel better than that. But on a normal day, on like a cold fall or winter's night, I like a nice hearty stew. So we're just gonna put about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil in our Dutch oven here.
So we're using a Dutch oven. You don't have to use a Dutch oven. This was just one of my Christmas presents. I think Babs got us this.
Yeah.
I just like it. It's similar to a cast iron skillet in that it it's sturdy, hearty. You can take this and you can transition it into the oven as well, which is really nice. So you can do it's pretty versatile. But you could just use a big pot and that would work just as well.
A regular sauce pot is good, a large sauce pot, but we're just going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil in here. Put on the heat to about medium high. That looks good. And then we're going to just throw the chicken in, and we're gonna cook it up just to brown it up. It's already pre-cooked, so you don't really have to worry about cooking it through and getting it to a certain temperature, but you just want to get a nice little caramelization on it and brown it up a bit.
So let's give some checking on the
Shout-outs?
chat here. So
Okay.
hello, Grace.
Welcome.
Signing in today. She put a fun little face in there. Hi, Kapakivi. Always a pleasure. Soul on Fire. Hello and welcome. Thank you, Soul on Fire, with the subscription.
Yeah,
Tier 1.
this is
That's awesome.
exciting. We have to learn how to kind of do this. We're still new to this, so we
I don't even know what
know.
that means, but it sounds awesome. So thank you.
Thanks for subscribing.
As always, Kapakivi, feel free to translate for me what that means. I don't know.
We have to work on like getting our emotes done and our badges done. Maybe Kiwi, you can help us with all of that because we're a little bit
like
behind on the
Kiwi
times.
does the what do you give out? You give out Cheez-Its, and then Peter gives out.
He gives out blocks of cheese too, doesn't he, Peter?
No,
And the
Peter
macaroni.
Cheez-Its.
No, Peter's the macaroni.
Peter's Cheez-Its. Kapakivi is prosciutto slices. Mark is Mookie's.
Movies.
So maybe we could
we
get
can
some
make
help
like
on.
salt and pepper shakers if we could
For
do
the
that.
first 10 people who subscribe get the first badge.
Oh, very cool. Very
so
cool.
we have to figure out badges.
Yeah.
Maybe some suggestions, like what would be good badges? Should we do badges like with our dogs? Should they be more food themed?
Oh, the dogs would be kind of fun too. We have to figure out how to do this. Like we said, we're so new to this, so this is all, there's going to be like a little bit of a learning curve, but we're just happy that you're joining us and watching the channel and enjoying our content, and we appreciate any feedback that you could give us to kind of make this channel more enjoyable for you.
We are teachers, so big fans of feedback and reflection. What would we do?
Yeah. I did turn up the heat on this just a little bit to kind of get it going a little bit more. We're just going to brown up the skin a bit, and then I'm going to remove this from the heat, and then we'll get everything else working.
Pasta noodles.
Pasta noodles would be
That's a good one.
great. That would be
Could be
great.
rigatonis, because we have a
Oh,
rigatoni.
we have a little rigatoni. We can make
That would be fun.
rigatonis.
Little rigatoni.
Oh, Riggy girl. She's the
badges.
best. Today, she's so funny. I was actually going to tell you the story when you came home from work, but I didn't have a chance. So, we have 3 dogs, and that means that there's a lot of dog hair in this house, and we have a baby also, so we cover up our couch. We have a nice big sectional couch, but we cover it with sheets and blankets just so that it doesn't get a ton of dog hair on it. It's easier to clean. You just throw the sheets in the wash. So we have it covering up the couch, and all of a sudden I'm like, where is Riggy? She had decided to tunnel herself under the sheets, and she was hidden under one of the blankets. And the only reason I knew that she was there is because I started saying her name, and her little tail was wagging underneath.
She loves to be under the covers. So at night, since she's allowed back in the bed post-baby, a lot of times she'll come up and she'll want to go under the covers, and we tell her, we're like, listen, you're going to be hot in 5 minutes. And she won't come out. She'll stay under the covers, but we'll pull the covers off, and she's puffing and puffing, and then we have to, encourage her to come out from under the covers because she's overheating.
But she's the best, and she's the best to cuddle with. Why don't you cut up the onions, actually, while this browns up, and I'll take care of this.
Yeah, so we have one about medium-large.
I lowered the heat on this now, too. Back to medium.
Slice this little guy in half. Slicing it in half so that there is the hairy ends and the non-hairy ends. And then I'm going to cut off the non-hairy ends on both sides so that I can peel this back.
What's kind of fun about these sausages here is since they had the artichokes inside and you kind of quartered them up and made them into like tiny little cubes, the artichokes are actually falling out into the pan. But that's going to be good because once we remove this sausage and we start cooking up the onions, it'll be nice for the artichoke and the onions to kind of cook together.
Mm-hmm.
So. And it's already starting to smell really nice in here. These chicken sausages, in a way, they have a little bit, they kind of have like the fragrance of a hot dog. A little bit like the turkey kielbasa that we made a couple weeks ago. They kind of have that kind of cured meat scent. So, it smells pretty good. I'm lowering heat again on this. I had brought it up just to kind of brown it up a little bit and to heat that oil through, but now it's on the lower end. Because I don't want it to burn. So
you don't want to burn, but you want to get it crisp.
Yeah.
Press the buttons. I guess those automatically pop up and we have to...
I don't know.
Yeah, we got to figure out these channel points.
No, I think if you just press this.
Oh, I know, but But no, we I think get to modify it.
Oh yeah, Kiwi, we're definitely gonna have a conversation about how we work that kind of stuff. And Grace, I can't help you. Maybe somebody in the chat can.
All right, so I'm just peeling this onion. I'm struggling, but I'm peeling.
Yeah, so you just want to get the skin off of that. And he'll dice up those onions, and then we're just going to put some onions in here to cook down, and a little bit of garlic. There's not a whole lot to this soup, but it's going to be flavorful. You made a really nice soup the other day.
That was totally impromptu.
Yeah, that had some chicken sausage in it as well. And how did we make it that day? I forget. We had chicken sauce. Oh, that one we put some beans in as well.
We did chicken sauce. We did, what was that? Pinto beans?
Or cannellini beans?
Cannellini beans. And did I put a pasta in there as well? Yeah, I did.
I think we did. The little tiny
and then the other day,
Tortellinis.
then the other day I made one with potatoes.
Oh, the potato soup was
like
great too. That was
almost
really
a play on a New Orleans style type of soup. I wouldn't call it a gumbo. I wouldn't call it.
It's just kind of like a stew, I guess.
It's kind of like a stew, but it had like the essence, flair of New Orleans because I put some Cajun seasoning in there.
Yeah.
It did have sausage.
It had a lot of heat to it. You put a little bit of paprika in there.
I did. I put a little bit of hot paprika, a little bit of Cajun in there. Got aggressive.
Okay, so he's cutting up those onions, nice. And these chicken sausages are nice and browning up here. Getting just like a little bit of like a caramel color on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Dice.
Yeah, there we go. That looks good. And once he's ready with those onions, I'm just going to transfer out the sausage just to make room for the onions. You don't have to take the sausage out if you don't want, but I'm just going to take them out to make some room for the onions to cook down evenly. And then we'll throw them back in.
Onions are going to take a little time, and we're going to deglaze the pan as well.
Yeah, we'll deglaze the pan. Yeah, that's his favorite because there's going to be like little brown bits is what we like to call them.
So whatever you cooked in there, whether you were using sausage, whether you're using shrimp or chicken,
whatever.
there's going to be some remnants, and that's gonna have a bunch of flavor. Ooh. I get emotional about all the flavor.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna give this a couple more minutes while you do that. Maybe even just a minute.
Yeah.
And then what I'll start doing is removing some of this chicken sausage, putting it on a plate on the side here, and then we'll cook up these onions. Now, we are going to be using garlic too, but hold off on the garlic. We're going to cook the onions down first, and then we'll add the garlic in after because their cook times are different. The garlic will burn very easily, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll let the onions cook down for a couple of minutes before we add the garlic in. Okay. So let me see. What's the easiest way I could take this out?
Scoop.
Yeah. Thank you. So let me remove this chicken here. I'm just going to put it on a dish.
Yeah, some Grace earned some channel points by watching.
Oh, okay, that's what you were doing. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so the longer that you watch and chat, the more points you earn, I believe. That's how that works. Thank you, Soul on Fire, for helping her out there. Okay. So you could see here that this chicken is going to be like nice bite-sized pieces when you're eating the soup.
Which will be nice, because you're using a spoon. You don't want to have a whole
Big chunk.
circular slice on there. That's going to be too much. Even in that, like a crescent, if it was sliced in half, it would still be a little bit too
Yeah,
much.
I think this is the perfect little bite size. And, all right, I got this out. There's a couple little pieces of, like I said, the artichoke in there, which is fine. And then he's going to deglaze the pan. You can use wine if you choose to. In this case, we're going to use just some chicken stock because we're going to be using stock in the soup to begin with. So
we have it out.
We have it out. You're going to use about 4 cups in like the whole recipe. So we're just going to use just a little bit right now.
Going to turn the heat up. Listen, if you drink wine, you have wine, I would use the wine. It tastes better.
It does taste a little bit better. I mean, we can use wine if you prefer. He does. He wants to use wine. And since this is
Like how I dropped that
tomato
in?
based, we have some red wine on hand, so we'll use a little bit of that.
So a little Rioja. Again, you could always use the chicken stock, and it's just going to be a splash.
You can hear that kind of sizzle up. Just to kind of get those brown bits off of the bottom of the pan.
You're going to want to scrape those
Scrape
brown
those
bits
up.
to let them mix together. So scrape around the whole pan.
Just kind of
deliciousness.
Yeah, and you're just going to want this to cook down a little bit, kind of boil up, so that the alcohol cooks out.
And we're going to let the alcohol cook out before we add the onions.
Yeah, before we add the onions in. Because then you don't want your onions to taste like alcohol. And that can happen if you don't give it enough time to cook out.
And it's going to cook out quick because we just have like 2 splashes of
wine.
Red wine in there. I'd say, I don't know, probably, I was guessing maybe a quarter cup.
It probably wasn't even that much. But I'm
So
scraping up
1/8 of a cup?
little brown bits.
I'm on point with the math.
Yes, you are. Go boo.
Although today, so I teach middle school, and I have a class where I help out special education students, and they come to me for like almost like a study hall. And the one kid is doing math, 7th grade math, which I had never done 7th grade math. I've only done 6th grade.
6th, yeah.
So he was doing with transformations and translations on a coordinate plane, and what is the variant factor and what it's like multiplied by.
It's like you're speaking another language.
Yeah,
I have not.
and I'm trying to help him, and I'm looking at the study guide that the math teacher gave me, and I'm trying to then Google things, because it's a Zoom, too, so I'm not even live in front of the kid. So it's a blank screen, because he doesn't turn his camera on, and then I'm Googling stuff on the side to try and figure out how to explain it to him. And I was like, yeah, I think this is how you do it. And I could tell he got a little annoyed, because
he was like,
the bell rang, and he just signed off the Zoom, didn't say goodbye or anything. And I was like, you know what, I can't even blame him. I emailed the math teachers, and I was like, hey, when he comes in this afternoon, you're going to sit with him, and then maybe tomorrow at lunch you can sit with me and teach me what a transformation translation is on a coordinate plane. I thought it was just flipping across the XY axis, by the way, but I don't know if I was right.
I honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
So, now that that's cooked off,
we're going to add...
I'm going to show it real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab mine.
Go ahead. Be careful, yeah.
So So it's nice and hot. So now it's really cooked down nicely. So there's just a touch of white red wine in there. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil now to it.
You can actually kind of smell when the alcohol cooks down. It's like a sweeter smell that you
Yes,
with,
much
more like
sweeter.
a sugary smell.
Yeah, more sugary, almost like a balsamic glaze.
Yeah.
It turns into a glaze now as opposed to wine. It thickens up quite a bit.
Yeah. And actually, it's going to give these onions like a nice pretty color, too.
Beautiful color
little,
and great flavor.
Yeah. So we're going to let these onions kind of wilt down a bit, become translucent, and we'll add some salt and pepper to that, of course, because we like to layer the flavors. You always want to salt and pepper as you go, as you add ingredients. And if you want to, we have a little bit of Italian seasoning, so you're more than welcome to add that Italian seasoning to this now, too. And you're just going to do it to taste. So if you're not crazy about a ton of it, don't put a ton.
Yeah. But we like Italian seasoning. You can use
oregano.
But I like to season the onions.
Because they hold the most flavor, I feel like. But we'll let those wilt down.
That's going to be the base of our sauce now.
Yeah. And he'll start prepping up those garlic cloves. And as you know, if you've watched us before, as you know, if you've watched us before, we're big fans of garlic. And if we find a recipe online that calls for a garlic clove or two, we're going to put about 5. Yeah. That's just the way it goes.
It's stock. There's so much into it. We're going to go a little heavier.
Yeah.
We pretty much guarantee we're going to go heavier.
Yeah, always. So these onions are looking like really pretty, and they look almost like purple now. They took on the color of the wine, which is really pretty, and they are smelling really good. I'm just going to up the heat just a tad, so that they're like about medium. And this is going to take a couple minutes for these to wilt down a bit.
In the meantime, I'll be able to get the garlic ready, because that's going to be going in shortly.
But this really isn't going to take a whole lot of time. Once you get this kind of base ready to go, then you just start layering in the ingredients, and it doesn't take all that long to get put together.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned before, if you make this the day before, the next day it's going to be really flavorful. If you want to make it earlier in the day and just kind of let it simmer on the stove, you could do that too. But since we're going to be hungry in a matter of 40 minutes, we're going to be eating it right off the stove, and it's going to be fine though.
It'll be fine. I'm hungry right now. We have some Italian bread.
Okay.
We sliced into that almost immediately.
Yeah, and I feel like with a soup, Italian bread is just really good to have with soup. It's like a nice little thing to kind of dip and really get the flavors going.
Kind of goes with anything, Italian bread, but definitely with soup.
Oh, I mean, we eat Italian bread on the regular.
As often as possible.
On the regular. Maybe that's what we could have with a badge, a piece of an Italian loaf.
Or no, we always say salt and pepper. Maybe we could do like a salt and pepper shaker.
Salt and pepper shakers, maybe an Italian bread, maybe some pasta. We'd like to do something like that. Sure, Grace.
Yeah, but Grace, can you eat anything that I just put in here?
Yeah, exactly. Grace, could you eat anything with all of the food allergies that you have?
Well, Mark's got all these fun emojis. Look at that pasta making emoji.
Okay, yeah, maybe Mark, you can help us too. Mark
Kiwi, you're fired.
Definitely help us with the emotes and the badges, so that we can make this channel fun for everybody to use.
So garlic, I've just smashed the garlic. I'm just gonna peel off the skin.
Oh, look, there's some cheese. It looks like. Oh, definitely cheese. We definitely need grated cheese. We put that on everything.
And now I'm just going to do a rough chop on the garlic. Normally I would slice it like an onion and make it more exact.
Yeah,
but when it's going in a soup, it doesn't really matter as much. It doesn't need to be quite as fine. I don't mind if I get a couple of chunks because it's going to sit in that sauce and simmer down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, these onions are smelling so good right now.
Again, just doing a rough chop.
So tell me, what's your favorite soup? Tell me in the chat what you like. I love a soup that has like a pasta base, like this one. I think that's really good. I love like a bisque, like a seafood bisque.
I love a bisque. I love a creamy bisque. I love creamy soups, but yeah, lobster bisque has always been my mom and I's favorite.
Oh my gosh, the best lobster bisque and the best clam chowder you could ever have is up in New England.
Yeah.
We were in Boston a couple of years ago, and let me
Music
tell you.
festival. Grace was there.
Yeah, Grace, you were there with us.
We were there. We flew up to Boston, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it was Memorial Day weekend.
And we didn't want to drive in traffic.
The flights were dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I paid like $150
for both of us,
for
round trip.
Round trip was like $300 for the two of us. We really scored on that trip.
Yeah, that was a really amazing trip. We went to a music festival to see both of our favorite bands. My favorite band is The National. His is The Killers. Although we both like both bands, pretty, like we're both big fans. So they were both headlining this music festival, and we decided to treat ourselves that year and to go see both of our favorite bands. And it was such an amazing trip.
Boston was, what a lovely, lovely city.
Great city, great food, great people. And Grace, she's a big music junkie, and she decided, you know what, I'm going to this festival too. And she met us, and we watched the Killers perform that one night, and we're big fans of Red Flowers. Yeah. Oh yeah, they played the same night, which was great, but Grace and I were definitely drooling over Brandon Flowers. And Jimmy was okay with that because he understands just like how, what a showman he is.
He's got charisma.
Yeah. He's got charisma. He was wearing a gold suit.
Yeah, that's when Beautiful Beautiful was their current album that they were touring with. So, what's the song? I'm the Man?
I'm the Man.
I'm the Man. So, they did that as their opener for the encore. And he came out in
it was like a gold lame suit.
Sequined, gold suit. Yeah. They're from Las Vegas, so they're very much influenced by Las Vegas Flash and heavily influenced by Elvis. So actually on the keyboard that Brandon Flowers plays, you'll see the lightning bolt, and that actually is an homage to Elvis.
Honestly, they put on such a tremendous show too. That was such a great time. We were just talking about that. Now with COVID and everybody kind of hunkered down at home, music is missing in our lives, and we're big live music fans, and we love to go to concerts. So we definitely miss that, being able to do that. And we were really lucky right before I gave birth and right before COVID really kind of struck the States. We were able to go to see Collective Soul, which is a concert that I really enjoyed.
At a local little venue in Michigan.
And I've been wanting to see them for 10 years, so.
So, let me see if I can do this without burning myself.
Yeah, why don't you use pot holders?
Yeah,
that would be smarter.
I got this. There we go. So, as Sally was saying earlier, the onions have really taken on. They're translucent, yet they have that beautiful reddish, almost pink, almost salmon-y sort of tint.
They smell great.
They're so fragrant.
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 It's like marriage.
Marriage, or like Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. That's a hard word to say when you're in the middle of talking like this. Fragrant. I had an issue with it, I think, last week too. But anyway, speaking of Brandon Flowers, do you remember the time we went to go see him when he was on his solo tour?
Oh yeah.
We went to go see him at a smaller venue here in New York City. And
that was Terminal 5.
At Terminal 5, and
great venue.
It was a great show, great venue.
Great show. We had a great spot. Great spot. If you don't love the crowd, I'm never gonna be sitting front row. I've done it once or twice, but I think I'm over that.
Yeah.
So Terminal 5, if you go towards the back,
we were by
there's a bar on the right. There's the upstairs, which I think you have to pay a different ticket. But we went in the back by the engineer, and there's a bar in the back, and we went up the stairs, which is 3 steps. Mm-hmm. There's a bar right behind you, and the engineers are right in front of you, so you have a place to lean against. And Sally's not the tallest one.
No, and I always get stuck behind.
So no one's in front of you, just the engineers, but they're below you, so you have a straight line of sight. So.
It was great, and then it was a work night, and. Yeah. It was a late concert, and we were like, we've heard that he hangs around and says hello to people after shows. Maybe we should stay. But it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and we went,
we had to drive home.
We had to drive home from the city, so we were like, forget it, let's just go home. And we left. And then the next day, I see all of these pictures all over Instagram.
He came out
and
took
signed
pictures autographs. Anyone that was out there, he stopped and said hello. Took pictures with anyone that hung around to wait, and we're like,
I was so sad that I missed that.
Should have taken a mental health day.
We really should have taken a mental health day after that. Okay, you want to add the garlic in?
I'm ready.
All right, let's add this garlic in.
Well, actually, I'm thinking, should I go collard greens next and saute them?
You know what? That wouldn't be a bad idea because typically, if you're going to use something like kale or spinach, you won't need a lot of time to cook down. But the collard greens are going to take a little bit longer. So you know what? We'll add those in. Why don't you chop them
I'm
up?
gonna have to prep those. So any leafy green, like a kale or a collard green, you don't want to eat this vein. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't want to eat this vein. It's gonna be too fibrous. So you can
cut that out.
Yeah. So you can tear along to get that part off.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could slice. I actually like the slice. I just find it quicker.
Yeah.
The fresher the greens, the easier this is to do.
Yeah, and you're just going to use like a bunch. You know, if you go to the store, they're usually kind of sold in like just a
They're
little
always in like a bushel.
A bushel, a bunch, whatever.
That's a fun word.
Just use that.
Bushel.
Yeah, so we'll add the collard greens in next, and then we'll throw in let
Just so
them
we can
cook out
saute them down a little bit.
with the onions a bit. And honestly, the longer you saute the onions, the better. So
It's
we can
not
give
a
it some
bad
more
thing.
time.
And the other thing, if you feel like, oh no, my onions are getting too overcooked, lower the temp.
Mm-hmm.
You can always throw a little water in there.
Yep.
Every time you throw in water, it buys you like
Couple minutes.
3 to 5 minutes,
Yeah.
give or take.
But these, honestly, they're doing great. So I think once we add in the collard greens, that'll be really nice and tasty. I'm sure, you know what, I feel like this recipe, we don't eat pancetta or bacon in our house. I mean, he sometimes does, but I don't. But I'm sure, like, if that's a flavor profile that you like, you can add that in with this, and it would taste really good.
Well, anytime you have a collard green, like, it goes well with pork.
Yeah.
Like a traditional southern cooking of collard greens is with sautéed with ham hock.
Ham hock, yeah.
Ham hock being like the bones, basically. So it adds
Adds a nice rich flavor.
And then you have like a couple chunks of ham in there.
So are you going to do that whole bushel of
I
collard
don't think I
greens?
am.
That's a really big one. So that's about a half of a bushel, actually. Because when we decided to make this earlier today, we were actually just going to use kale, a small bunch of kale that we had, but it was a little bit sad. So when he went to the store today, he ended up getting the collard greens instead.
Just because they were gorgeous.
So we're just going to go with half of these. You good?
Yeah. So that's. Should I do a little more?
Yeah, you could add it just a touch more, and then we'll kind of get that going. Does it look like it's gonna rain?
It did get a little dark.
It did get a little dark.
We'll have to have a baby come in.
Yeah, they could always come in and hang out in the other room. All right, so he's gonna chop that up. Give it a nice little like.
Do one more. That'll be funny.
Yeah.
It's gonna cook down.
It will.
Any leafy green, once you
Throw it in there, it gets kind of small.
it's gonna cook down. All right, so to slice this up nice, I'm gonna lay them out on top of one another so they're flat. I'm gonna do this in a couple of sections. So I'm gonna lay it out so it's nice and flat, and then I'm going to roll it. So I have a nice little bushel. Almost looks like those green things.
Oh, looks like a grape leaf.
Looks like a grape leaf.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's going in the salad, so I'm going to slice it long ways, and then I'm going to come back the opposite way. So then I'm left with much smaller pieces that are going to cook down really nicely. So I'm going to start to add these in.
Yep, add those in. I'll stir them up just so that they're nicely evenly coated. I think
Again,
we
we're
might
doing
want to
that.
add just a touch more of
Oh,
olive oil too to this.
Get these out. So I'm going smaller because it is a soup.
You don't want
could
a
just
big
slice them
piece.
across if I were just sautéing them, but since it's going to be in a soup, I want to half it before I slice.
If you're going to use a spinach, like spinach will cook down like this. That would
Spinach,
be like, it would take less time.
I would do the opposite.
You would do it at the very
I'd do
end.
it at the very end, yeah.
Spinach cooks down, and also when you think you have a lot of spinach, you don't. You put it in to cook it, and it wilts down like in an
Almost
instant,
instantly.
and it usually looks like nothing. So if you're gonna do spinach, go with a nice big bunch. Do a full big bunch.
Yeah, that's why I actually didn't get spinach, just because I don't think it holds up well in a soup. I mean, it goes in a soup, but it's going to be a lot.
Yeah. I don't even know if we need that much.
Should I stop? I feel like I should.
I feel like you should stop. Yeah,
Right, we're actually going to call it.
because there's a good amount in here. And would you just give me just a touch more oil? And then I'm just gonna salt, pepper this as well. And even add a little bit more of the Italian seasoning. Thank you. We'll let that wilt down just a touch, and then I'm going to throw in that garlic as well.
So it's funny we were talking about the killers because I was actually one of my admin, the guy I like again, Mike. We had talked about the killers. It somehow came up in the beginning of the school year. So he came up to me today and he saw me in the hallway. He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Have you ever heard the Tyson versus Douglas song?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I have." That was also off of their previous album, Now's Imploding the Mirage. Before this, it was Beautiful, Beautiful. And it's a song about the night that Buster Douglas beats Mike Tyson. And he's like, "Oh, do you know what it's about?" I was like, "Well, it's about that." And it's like how Brandon Flowers was a little bit upset about it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's totally about that because, Tyson was basically like a Vegas fighter because all the fighters are Vegas based, and how he was so, bless you, so heartbroken over seeing the pepper, over seeing Mike Tyson lose, that it was like, a hero losing to him, and he was just so distraught. He didn't think he could be defeated, and then he juxtaposed it. The guy who looked it up, that's how he got this. He didn't analyze it.
Okay.
Then he juxtaposed it against, like, now that he has a child, that he feels like he's the hero to his son, so he doesn't want to ever fail. And it was interesting. It added a little more character to this.
Do you feel like you could relate to that now that you have a son?
Totally, and that's exactly what the guy said to me. He's like, "You have a son now." He's like, "You like the song." He's like, "Listen to it again." Because he's like, after I read it, I went and listened again. He's like, "Totally new meaning." Hello to
Hey,
your mother.
Mom. Add some garlic in here, please.
Garlic, going in.
Excellent.
So also at this point, if you want some heat, you could add some crushed red pepper, some cayenne.
Cayenne. He loves to add heat into everything.
We'll keep mine off today.
But yeah. So this is gonna just like kind of cook down really nice. So
Yeah, let's show.
yeah, let's show everybody what that looks like. Here we go.
So yeah, as you can see, there was a big bushel of those greens in to start. Well, half a bushel, and you can see how much it's cooked down. Collard greens, it's a sturdier green, it's a thicker green, so it's going to hold up in a soup. It's going to give you a bit of crunch. It's not going to be mush. That's why we like to use a thicker green, like a kale or a collard green.
Right.
I'm going to go take a peek outside.
Yeah, why don't you check on them? I'm just going to give this a quick stir. So let's see. Oh, Grace, I see that you said you like lentil and corn chowder. So you're a vegetarian, so that's like a really yummy type of soup. And I was saying before, this is a soup that you can make and you can leave out the meat altogether and it would be vegetarian. So it would be very easy to do that just by taking out the chicken, or if you wanted to use like a vegetable type of sausage or something, you could too. Like a fake meat.
She's playing with the Halloween decorations.
Oh, great. All right. Okay. So now that this is wilting down,
Mark is collecting swords. So is that swords or is that S words? That's like that. I love Sean Connery on SNL.
Oh yeah.
When Will Ferrell plays Alex Trebek,
Yeah.
and then I don't remember the guy who plays Sean Connery. He's like,
It's
"I'll take S words for."
I forget who it was.
Or the category is swords, and he says, "I'll take S words," or it's the category is S words, and he's like, "I'll take swords for 1,000."
Yes, I definitely remember that. All right. What are we doing now? Are we going to start adding these sauce?
Yeah, we're ready to start adding our wet ingredients.
All right, let's do our wet ingredients then.
All right.
8 ounces.
Order really doesn't matter.
It
at
doesn't.
this point because it's all going together.
Yeah, so we have 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Just plain tomato
Just
sauce.
plain tomato sauce. Going in.
Good. Excellent.
Now, the can will always tell you not to do this, but there's sauce left in there. So I like to get the rest of the sauce in. So what I'm going to use...
A little bit of water. Or just going to use the stock.
I'm just going to use the stock. So since we're adding chicken stock anyway, just to get the last of that out, throw a little stock in there. I would just use water. My dad always did that, but I mean, he was born in 1935, so he was born like right after the Great Depression, and he was one of like
many children. Yeah.
We're using 4 cups of stock.
4 cups. So that is 4 cups.
4 cups of stock. More math. We're 32 fluid ounces. 32 fluid ounces. There are 8 ounces in a cup. 8 times 4, 32.
Okay. So pour that in. Excellent.
I just did. So this is chicken stock, not chicken broth. There really is no difference between the two.
Yeah, whatever you have on hand.
And we just got 100% natural. We used collagen. It was on sale. You can get, if you have issues with your salt intake, you could do the low
The
sodium.
low sodium, absolutely. And then you can add salt and control the level of salt that you want. Or not add salt at all if you can't have it.
You can use like, what is that? Miss Dash? Is that the no salt?
Miss Dash, yeah, is a seasoning that doesn't have salt. That's right. Okay, so I'm going to increase the heat on this a little bit and let it start to cook down. Or just to kind of boil up a little bit. Should we add? I think we should wait until it's sort of
So we are going to add a third of a cup of heavy whipping cream. So when things say, can I get this so you can see it? Soapy, I'll say whipping cream. So whipping cream, heavy cream, guess what? It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It might just say whipping cream. Same difference.
Yeah, so we'll wait.
Put this in the fridge.
Yeah, we're going to wait to add that, but we can put the chicken back in. We can start putting the pasta in. Like, this isn't really going to take much more time now that these ingredients are in. Are you going to add a little bit of flour in here or no?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that as well. I'll do that now.
So you're just going to kind of want to add just a little bit of flour. It's probably even just like a tablespoon, right?
But there's techniques to this.
There's a technique to this, but it's going to help to kind of thicken up the soup a bit.
So flour is what you would use to make a roux.
A roux, yeah.
But in a lot of cases, you're just going to use flour in a soup. So we're going to use equal parts. So I got my flour over here. You can't really see it, but I'm going to spill it. So just trust me. There's flour.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to add about
tablespoon.
So if I add a tablespoon of flour, I'm going to add a tablespoon of water to this.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm going to do that is if I put this flour in,
it's
going to be chalky and
yeah.
lumpy.
It's gonna be
but I'm going to add a tablespoon of water to it.
Oh, this smells so good right now with the garlic and the onions. Oh, it's starting to smell very tasty.
So I add a tablespoon of water, and it almost looks pasty, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm going to combine it. And it's going to turn pasty. But what this is going to do is since I can mix it with the cool water, and you want to make sure it's cool water, it's going to allow it to dissolve, and it's going to take out any lumps. So it's going to allow you to thicken a sauce
without it getting
lumpy.
chunky and lumpy.
Nobody wants lumpy.
No.
It's like with gravy. You don't want lumps in your gravy. It's the same concept with the sauce. So such a simple mixture, just equal parts flour to water. Give it a quick stir.
Yeah.
Now it almost looks like milk.
Like milk, yeah. All right, so he's going to add that in.
And you're just going to stir.
And I'm going to stir. Excellent. And what I'm going to do next is add the tortellini.
Yeah.
Because the tortellini is going to take about 5 to 7 minutes to cook. So we'll give that some time to cook in this liquid right now before we add the chicken back in. We don't want to have our pot like really, really full because then things won't cook evenly. So I'm going to throw the pasta in now and let that start to cook down a little bit, and then we'll throw in the chicken and then the cream. So this is a container that has a pound, a little over a pound of pasta actually. When you have box pasta, it's usually about a pound. This is slightly over, but we're just going to use the whole thing because we're going to be giving some of this soup to my mother-in-law, his mom. So as payment for watching the baby right now while we cook.
She brought her own container.
Yeah, she did. She brought her own container so that she could take some home.
I think she brought her own container because that's bigger than the normal containers we give her. I think it's a hint like
to give her more.
I want a little bit more.
Yeah. All right. So this is in, and this is just a 3 cheese tortellini. There are varieties of tortellini that you could use that have different flavors in them, that have different varieties of cheese, that might even have meat in them or vegetables in them. So if you wanted to use something like that, feel free. But this is just like a 3 cheese, I believe. All right, so now this is, everything in here is kind of working together and starting to boil up a bit. And that's what we want. To be perfectly honest, I feel like you could...
Ricotta, Parmesan, and Romano.
Oh, perfect. I feel like if you don't want to add the heavy cream into the soup, you could probably leave it the way it is right now. And it would just be like a little bit of a tomato base, but the cream is just going to make it look a little bit thicker. Yeah, we'll let you see. Be careful, please.
I'm going to get the pot.
Yeah, please get pot holders. I don't know why he fights me on this one all the time. He doesn't want to use pot holders. right. So look at how great that looks right now.
Beautiful color too.
Yeah.
The
tortellini are tricone.
yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. They're they're two-tone. They're like a regular pasta and then like a spinach pasta.
Mm-hmm.
So some are green. So we'll kind of let that cook down a little bit. I'm gonna put the timer on for about 5 minutes, and then we'll throw the chicken back in, and we'll add a little bit of cream.
Get the bread ready?
Yeah, he's gonna cut up the bread while we get ready to go.
I'm just hungry.
When you're eating soup at home, do you like to add, I guess it depends really on what kind of soup that you're eating, but if you were going to eat this soup at home, would you pair it with Italian bread? Would you have it with crackers? Would you just leave it as is? What kind of thing would you do? Let us know in the comments. Oh, this bread looks yummy.
So this is a whole wheat Brooklyn baguette.
This is looking and smelling good. I'm just going to give it a little taste. A little smell. Smells good. I won't taste it because you're not seeing
I kept the heel of the bread for the baby.
Oh, for the baby. He could gnaw on that later. He gnawed on a little bit of pizza last night.
He was so happy.
Oh, grilled cheese. That's a good idea, Mark. You know what's funny? We made grilled cheese the other night. So on Friday, if you watched the show with us, we made mac and cheese with 4 different cheeses. And it was really, really delicious. But we had leftover cheese. So over the weekend, we made grilled cheese using what was left over. And that came out great. We threw a little bit of spinach on the grilled cheese, too.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Let's see what we have there.
Bolillo bread?
Bolillo.
Bolillo is the best bread.
Bolillo bread.
I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure what that is either. Is it a brand or a type of bread? If it is a type of bread, we got to look it up. Yeah. I love bread. And yes, Grace, poor Grace, you can't eat any bread. But a grilled cheese would be awesome. But that soup that we made the other day, last week.
Could Grace eat like fake bread? Like, do they make? I'm sure they make like.
Well, they make gluten-free bread. I'm sure.
Fake bread, like I said.
I'm gonna throw the chicken back in.
Yeah, totally.
I keep saying chicken. It's chicken sausage, but either way, you get what I mean. Oh, this is bubbling up. It's so nice right now.
Oh, it's like a Mexican baguette.
Oh,
sounds lovely.
Very into trying that. Why don't you give this a little... Actually, why don't we add the cream, and then we'll see if we need any more seasoning in here. This is the first time we're making this soup, so it is, trial by error, and we'll see if it comes out.
Hopefully more trial, less error.
Yeah, but the last time he made a soup is really, really tasty, so I think that this is going to be yummy. So we're going to add just about like a third of a cup of this heavy cream. And you're going to want to give it a little bit of time to cook down as well. You're not going to want to put this in a bowl right away.
Yeah.
Give this a nice stir. Now the soup has like this nice like creamy blush color.
And that's what makes it, if you're making a tomato sauce, you add a little bit of cream, that makes it a blush sauce.
A blush sauce.
You add vodka, makes it a vodka sauce.
I really want that. Yeah, I think we're going to have to try that. That sounds great. Oh, and that's right. Who had told us that? That was on the rocks, right? So isn't she in,
originally from...
She was down in Texas, right?
Yeah. Where was the Padma?
The Padma episode that we were watching. Oh my goodness, why can't I remember now? I'm having
Was it El Paso? No, it was, was it El Paso?
Was it El Paso?
On the rocks. Where are you originally from?
Yeah. We talked about this, and now I can't recall. Having like a senior moment.
So there you see it's turned to a nice blush. Nice colors. That's one of the
nice
hooked up. You can see it opened. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, this looks good. All right, did you try some of the...
Oh, I did not yet.
Give it a taste. If not, or if you think we could add some salt and pepper or Italian seasoning, let me know. Or even if you want to add like a little bit of a heat factor, you can do that now too.
And if one person likes heat and one person doesn't, you could always just top with a little crushed red pepper.
Right. In your own bowl. It's good. All right. Awesome.
That's nice.
This looks really, really great.
Yeah.
The pasta's definitely done by now too, because we gave it some time to boil in the liquid here. And just turn that timer off. So this looks really, really yummy. I would love, you know what? When we post this on our Instagram later, I'm gonna take a picture stirring this, like a little video. I think that it just looks really good. I'd love for you to see it. And we'll try to put it up on the camera again so you can see it. But this is it. This is done.
That's it.
Dinner is done. Our dinner is done.
It's nice when they're quick like this.
Yeah, I mean, we've been cooking for about an hour, but it feels like less.
It does feel like less. And I mean, the streams technically started slightly before. And then we're telling you what the ingredients are in the beginning.
Yeah. So exactly, if you weren't demonstrating this to somebody else, you could definitely get this going a little faster.
It's dinner in under an hour.
Yeah, and also like we were saying with kale, if you're going to use kale or spinach, that would cut down a little bit of the time as well. But this is good to go now. This looks awesome. When you plate this up and you put it in when you put it in a bowl rather, if you have some fresh parsley, you could add some parsley on top. We might even sprinkle a little Parmesan cheese. We love to do that. I knew that's what you were gonna get. We love adding that to kind of everything. So I think that's what we're gonna do with this.
That was for you, but you didn't need it, so.
Oh, I didn't realize. Thank you. Okay, you want to give them
final look?
Sneak peek at this, or do you want to put it in a bowl first?
Either way, you turn it. You have this one too. It's actually a pretty good view right here.
Yum.
Up, nice and steamy. Steaming Willy Beeman. Ready to go. It smells so good.
It looks great. So, I'm going to get us some bowls. We're going to put some of this in a bowl now. Get this ready to go. And then we're going to go eat. Thanks for joining us, as usual. For the people who have been here before, and for anybody who's new to the channel, welcome. This looks very tasty. I'm excited. All right, I'm actually going to use a ladle just to be a little bit neater here.
Oh yeah, that's the only way you're going to get it.
This is going to be a nice, hearty, thick soup that will probably taste even better tomorrow, and you certainly will have a full belly after this.
Certainly.
Ooh, it's hot.
Don't you say you can't cook cold?
No, you can't. That's true. You're welcome, Grace. Thanks for joining us on the chat tonight. We're glad you could watch. Even though this has meat in it, I know that you would, if you were over, we would have given you a bowl without chicken sausage. Woo, really hot.
There we go.
Look at those pretty dishes. Oh, that looks great. Looks great and smells great. Okay.
Yeah.
We're ready to go.
That's it. I think we're all done. Any questions before we head out?
Yeah, any questions before we go? It looks like we've got, I don't think we had any questions in the chat, but I'd love to see some activity in the chat today. That was great. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for helping us to reach affiliate.
Yeah.
That was really fun and a welcome
Surprise.
change. Yeah, welcome surprise. And we'll get learning, we'll get to learning about how to do the emotes and badges and things like that. So make it a little more fun for you at home. But I will be putting the recipe to this on our Instagram page and some photos, and I will also put this video up on our YouTube channel. If you don't follow us there, please do that, so that you can watch it at a later time if you want to make this later. I'm excited. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon. We'll be back again on Friday evening. I think we're going to be making stir fry.
We are.
We're going to make a stir fry. Stir fry is something we love to make at home, nice and easy. Again, super versatile, whatever you have at home, kind of throw in. So we're looking forward to that too. Hope you join us on Friday, and we'll see you on our Instagram and YouTube. So bye everyone, take care.